First, we will hear from Kevin Steele, who was last year's commencement speaker. Kevin is a Rahway resident and is now a junior at William Patterson and is majoring in communication and media production. Kevin, why don't you come right on up.
My name is Kevin Steele, and I'm a Union County College graduate, which is an awesome achievement that I hope every student at this college will experience. I also had the privilege of speaking at my commencement ceremony this past January. This was something I never dreamed of doing, mostly because I didn't dare to dream that big. However, as we take a look back on the history of African Americans throughout this month, and hopefully throughout the year, we will see that it can take one dream to awaken a nation. A dream that may seem far-fetched in the moment, but later will prove to be the instrument used that will inspire every boy and girl to sing the song of freedom. As I stood on the stage that day, giving my speech in front of my peers, my professors, and my parents, I was also standing on the shoulders of the ones who dared to speak up and speak out against the injustices that were in our land. My speech wasn't directed towards the police brutality that is on the rise in our country. It wasn't directed towards the prejudices that still exist, whether they may be blatant or subtle, that prevent men and women of color from getting good jobs. It wasn't directed towards the young black males who have been taught that the only thing they're good for is being in a jail cell, living on the street, or sleeping in their graves. No, it wasn't directed towards none of these problems. But although none of these issues were my focus point, just having the opportunity to be there on that stage, speaking as an African-American male, I was able to address every one of those issues. And it made me realize that the greatest protest doesn't depend on how long you march or how loud you yell. But if the words that are being said don't spark a change, then we might as well go home. And not simply a change in those who are in authority, but a change in the very ones who are protesting. Even if you feel as if you aren't the best speaker and your voice will not be heard, your actions can say a whole lot. The success that we achieve as men and women of color is our greatest argument. When we walk on the stage to receive a diploma, we say that we are intelligent. When we wake up early in the morning every day to go to work so that we can support ourselves and our families, we say that we are committed. When we take the time out of our day to lift up those who have fallen, we say that we care. What are you saying with your actions? It is true that there will never be another Martin Luther King Jr., but the reason why he fought so hard for our freedom wasn't so that the next generation could walk in the same shoes he walked in, but so that when his time was up, someone else who dared to dream could carry the mantle and pick up where he left off, even blazing their own trail. The countless and timeless stories of African Americans who made a difference all share a common theme: selfless hope. It is not hard for me to believe that most of them knew that they would die in their pursuit of liberty. I wonder if these thoughts occurred to them while they were in a dark and cold jail cell, far away from their loved ones. If so, what kept them going? Why did they keep fighting? The answer lies on the faces of their sons and daughters, and on their sons and daughters. It is one thing to have hope for your future, but it takes a different level of maturity to have hope for the future, as in the next generation. We should never take education lightly, or the fact that we can go eat or sit wherever we desire. Dr. King said in his I Have a Dream speech that it would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. I concur with Dr. King, but I will also venture to say that it would be fatal for the nation to overlook the sacrifices made by African Americans, and even the sacrifices of men and women who were not of color. Sacrifices that inspired people all over to leave the confinements of their homes, as well as the confinements of their minds, to contribute to a cause that was much greater than them. I am proud to be an African American. With this honor comes a great responsibility to make sure that those who participated in the civil rights movement did not fight in vain. This responsibility not only falls on my shoulders, but it falls on the shoulders of every citizen in the United States and every individual in the world. The minute we treat anyone of a different race unequally, we have just dropped the ball. As soon as we give up fighting for what we know is right, we have not upheld the standard that was set before us. And when we do not educate ourselves and others on the great achievements of African Americans in history, we are in a sense silencing a people who spoke words of hope in what seemed to be hopeless situations. You may have noticed that I mentioned Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. a few times. This is because he was one of the most influential leaders in the civil rights movement and is one of my greatest inspirations. His words not only impacted my life, and his dreams not only opened my eyes, but the same was done in the lives of many others. We are already living his dream. So now, All I ask is that you keep dreaming so that one day someone else can live yours. Thank you.